generating Bodhichitta by reflecting on parents' kindness. Why should we be mindful of our parents' deep kindness? Reflecting on parents' kindness in birth and nurturing. Our compassionate parents have endured great hardship to care for us, carrying us in the womb for 10 months, nursing us for 3 years, and changing countless diapers to raise us. They swallow the bitter and give us the sweet. Compassionate parents refers to the parents who bore and raised us, enduring great hardship. Recollecting this makes us feel sorrow and remorse. Now that our parents are elderly or have passed away, recalling them brings up such emotions. On our birthdays, we should reflect on our mother's kindness, recite sutras, and pray for our parents. However, today's people often celebrate birthdays with feasting and entertainment. As for carrying us in the womb for 10 months, nursing us for 3 years, it goes without saying that a mother bears her child for 10 months. During the 3 years after childbirth, she can hardly leave the child for a moment. She has to hold us constantly until we can walk on our own. After we reach age 3, she can relax a little bit. Driven by a thought of desire, we took rebirth. Our body grew by drawing from her blood nutrients and milk. After we were born, they changed countless diapers to bring us up. This needs no elaboration. They gave us the best food, watched over us, protected us from illness, and cared for us in the utmost attention. In short, mothers are willing to endure all hardships and give us every benefit for our sake. A Chinese poem from the Tang dynasty says, "Threads and needles in a loving mother's hands, sewn into the clothes of her travelling son. She sewed and sewed on the eve of his departure, for fear that he will come home late. Who said that an inch-tall grass can ever repay the 3 months of sunshine in spring?" This inch-tall grass symbolizes a child's meagre filial devotion which can never repay their parents' kindness in raising them. After we grow up, they hope we will carry on the family lineage and traditions, care for them, and revere our ancestors. Carry on the family lineage reflects the traditional Chinese value of maintaining family continuity. Family traditions refers to the customs passed down within a family. As we grow up, our parents guide us and support our education, hoping we will start families, build careers, and carry on the family traditions. Today, this support is evident. Parents often provide for our education from childhood through college. As for care for parents and revere ancestors, this tradition has declined. In the past, children would stay close to their parents and care for them. Yet, modern society faces a problem. Apartments are too small. Traditionally, a family lived together and separation from parents was rare. In today's society, some children even divide family property with their parents. How can such division be justified? This phenomenon is common today. Strictly speaking, it is not filial. However, in this degenerate age, some parents lack sufficient merit. Though children wish to be filial, their parents' karma and afflictions are too heavy. I've witnessed such cases. Some couples start with a good relationship, but their parents struggle with psychological issues. I heard of a case recently. A mother's obsessive-compulsive disorder led to her son's quick divorce. After remarrying, he divorced again. It's a difficult situation. Everyone suffers. The son, the mother, and the daughter-in-law all carry ingrained afflictions. The son is torn between them. Without roots of virtue, it is hard to live together harmoniously. Even if just one of these three lacks virtue, peaceful coexistence becomes difficult. In ancient times, dividing the household was not allowed. If you wanted to do so, people would criticize you, and the clan would not permit it. Living separately from one's parents was not an option. Children were expected to endure suffering rather than divide the family. Back then, many daughters-in-law fell ill or even died from the treatment they received from their mothers-in-law. Suppressed resentment made them sick, but they couldn't leave as family discipline was strict. Why did the May 4th movement erupt in China? Why did people call for the abandonment of Confucianism? It was related to the country's social development. Chinese people had accumulated too many afflictions and lacked spiritual practice, resulting in various problems. Parents were once children too. If they were not filial to their parents, their children would not be filial to them either. As a result, everyone becomes selfish. How can families continue like this? That's why society has become its current shape. Parents and children live separately and visit each other occasionally. This arrangement may help reduce conflicts. When vexations arise, each stays in their own home, out of sight, out of mind. When everyone is in a good mood, they come together. Such an arrangement might contribute to social stability. In most unfortunate cases, the greater responsibility falls on the younger generation. After all, parents devote decades to raising and caring for their children. If you treat your parents well, serving and accommodating them, they will respond reasonably unless afflicted by mental illness. Normal parents are not difficult to get along with. The core issue lies in the children's lack of filial piety, which leads to karmic consequences. If you are not filial to your parents, it is likely that your children will not be filial to you either. As a result, each generation declines further than the one before. Speaking of filial piety, we should remember our parents' kindness, regardless of their flaws. When conflicts arise between a daughter-in-law and her mother-in-law, it might seem somewhat understandable to place some blame on the daughter-in-law, as she was not brought up by the mother-in-law. But in most cases, the primary responsibility lies with the son who lacks filial piety. If he fails to set a good example, his wife will not respect his mother either. As a result, when they grow old, their children will treat them in the same way. The law of cause and effect never errs. From a karmic perspective, those who are unfilial won't give birth to virtuous children. I'm not saying that a newborn is inherently unfilial, but that the being who takes rebirth in such a family is unlikely to be wholesome. If you don't treat your parents well, remember their kindness and be grateful to them, how could a being with roots of virtue join your family? How could a wholesome child be born into your family? That's impossible. How could an ungrateful person attract a virtuous child? Of course, there may be exceptions, but this is the general pattern. This is the law of karma. Your mindset determines the kind of children you receive. This truth is undeniable. Therefore, we should examine ourselves carefully. If your children are not filial to you, reflect on whether you have failed to treat your parents properly. A lack of filial piety stems from not remembering their kindness. If you cannot recall your parents' kindness, you will not show filial devotion. If you are deeply mindful of their kindness, you will naturally treat them well. The ancients taught the classic of filial piety and song of recollecting parents' kindness. However, people today no longer have such sentiments. There is a song of parental kindness by Mr. Tong that goes, "Before I speak, my tears already fall. How can I repay my parents' kindness in nurturing me? Though speaking of this breaks my heart, I still bear the heartbreak to share it with you." This poem was written by a filial person of ancient times. Just recalling his parents' kindness moved him to tears before he could speak. Do we have such a mindset? If, upon recalling the kindness of our parents, we feel a trace of remorse and strive to serve them, that would already be remarkable. Some virtuous people also weep when they meet their teacher. Perhaps it is because they recall the kindness of the three jewels, or maybe they also carry a sense of grievance. With complex emotions, they cry, like a lost child reuniting with their parents. Ancient people were deeply grateful. Just recalling their parents' kindness would move them to tears. When he thought of his parents' kindness, he was so heartbroken that he could not speak. Today, such people are rare. Only pregnancy brings such torment, with countless demonic obstacles that are hard to endure. Never say childbirth holds no danger. A mother's life can end in an instant. When mothers gave birth to us, their lives were in great danger. When her belly ached unbearably, she still asked others to prepare clothes for me. Who can fathom the countless brushes with death she faced? Her fate lay in the hands of heaven. Whether the delivery is smooth or difficult, mothers endure immense pain. When the baby was born, blood surged to her heart. She clenched her teeth and closed her eyes. Only after the umbilical cord was cut and 3 days passed did she come back to life. During childbirth, blood rushes to the mother's heart, which is very dangerous. The baby's filth often soiled its body. with a stench that is hard to bear. Yet the mother felt no revulsion. She washed and changed her baby's clothes tirelessly. Once she heard the baby's cry, she turned and lifted it in her arms. During its first half year, when did she ever sleep through the night? In the first 6 months, babies often cry at night. When hungry, they cry. In the 12th lunar moon, as snow fell thick, the mother slept holding her child face to face. Since the baby needed milk to feed, she left her breasts exposed through the night. This verse portrays nursing in ancient winters. Without modern heating and air conditioning, people endured intense cold. Many people died of severe cold or heat. Upon hearing that her child had caught smallpox, the mother's eyes turned yellow with fright. From the moment the first symptom appeared, she had not eaten even a spoonful of porridge. She bowed her head and burned incense, calling out, "Smallpox goddess," with every plea. If her prayers were answered, she would bow until her forehead bled. In the past, when children fell ill, mothers bowed intensely in prayer. In ancient China, medical knowledge was advanced and doctors were numerous. However, by the late Ming and Qing dynasties, competent doctors became rare and mortality rates rose. It is said that during the Republican era, the average lifespan in China was only 35. Without access to doctors, illness often meant death. It was a time of immense tribulation. When the child fortunately reached 2 years old, they could walk while holding onto tables and chairs. Worrying that they might fall and hurt their head or face, a mother's heart was never at ease. Even if the child had a bad temper, the mother allowed them to act as they pleased. Regardless, parents love their children so much, cheering them, "What a good baby!" Children's temperaments vary. Some are easygoing. It depends on the parent's merit. If you are kind to your parents and often cultivate virtue, you will attract a good child who is easy to raise to join your family. This is the working of karma. Now the child's hair hangs past their shoulders. In the blink of an eye, they have grown up. How it pains the parents' hearts to part with them, knowing the child will no longer be around them. This verse depicts the moment when a child has grown up. Though they earned little through farming, they endured endless fears and hardships. They toiled either for their son or for their daughter. How many coins did they ever spend on themselves? To support their children's family and career, parents live frugally. This is still the case today. When young people cannot make a living, they rely on their parents' hard-earned savings. Nowadays, many people lack filial piety and such education. Without proper education, humans are not much different from animals. Isn't this the state of current society? If parents don't offer support, their children may resent them. If they fail to provide enough money for marriage or housing, the children might blame them. After marriage, parents often help cover the cost of their children's home. When a baby is born, if the couple cannot afford or are unwilling to hire a nanny, they expect the grandparents to raise the child. If parents engage in spiritual practice, their children may feel angry. Mother and father gaze at each other. Why do their faces look so sallow all day? Because their child is about to marry. They wear furrowed brows in shared dismay. Every memory carries their kindness. Who can express even a fraction of it? Even though poems may portray it, at most they vaguely capture 60 or 70%. Parental love is boundless and beyond description. This poem reveals only a small part. We should reflect on their kindness carefully. We can also observe how people around us treat their children and how we treat our own. As I mentioned before, people today often behave in a distorted way. They treat their children like ancestors but fail to serve their parents properly. This makes them tired. If you are filial to your parents, your children will be easy to raise, become excellent, and treat you well when they grow up. Therefore, it is essential to cultivate wisdom. Since ancient times, China's teachings have emphasized this. In virtuous families, people understand filial piety, feel grateful, and wish to repay their parents' kindness. Such people won't give birth to unwholesome children. They will attract beings who come to repay their kindness. Hence, those who have wisdom and understand karma practice filial piety. As a result, they don't need to worry too much about their children. This is something we should reflect on earnestly. All right, that's all for today's lecture.